Hello and welcome to this very special episode on the Barstoolers YouTube. Again, I'm not really sure if this is going to be going across the streaming platforms, but if you're listening to it on that, then clearly it has. But today we're going to preview a massive game that is very close to our hearts as people from Dundalk, as massive Dundalk fans. Dundalk are heading to the Emirates on Thursday evening to play Arsenal in the Europa League group stage. Absolutely crazy if you had said that 8 years ago. Crazy if you had said that about 6 weeks ago before Filippo took over. So we're just going to give a comprehensive preview of this game because how can we not? Our local team are playing Arsenal. It's crazy. So for the first game of the group stage, we played Molde. And unfortunately, we did lose 2-1. But what were your general thoughts on that game, Ronan?
Oh, first half, we didn't look scared of them at all. I know Molde are probably out of the three other teams in the group are probably the weakest. Probably missed a big chance there to get something, because I know to someone like Arsenal it wouldn't mean much that a win for Dundalk would have got us over 500 grand. But for those who aren't familiar with the League of Ireland, maybe you're listening to this on the Arsenal side, 500 grand is the equivalent to winning the league 5 years in a row. And even drawing, I think, is worth 150 grand.
Yeah.
So it was a big missed opportunity, because I thought first half we played really well. We kind of restricted them to shots from long range. Being realistic, look, pretty much all the teams in that group stage with us are a class above Dundalk.
Yeah.
You have to be realistic about it, unfortunately. But first half we made a good account of ourselves. I don't know, maybe it was fitness. Dundalk are kind of playing every 3 days at the minute. That fitness kind of let us down the second half. I was kind of disappointed the way we approached the second half. Look, realistically, I wasn't expecting us to go off and try score 3 or 4. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting us to even maybe come out for 15 minutes second half and try and get the second. But it was kind of annoying that we dropped off so early in the first half. Like, we just played such a deep line from the first second to the second half even. Sorry.
Yeah, I was listening to the Men Who Save Football Dundalk podcast, which is a fantastic podcast. If you're in any way interested in Dundalk, listen to that. And Kenneth Sloan, the host, I think, made a very good point. So if you look at the first half performance and how he played compared to the second half, it is very different. And I don't think that was a conscious thing of either Filippo saying to the players to drop deeper, or even the players saying sort of, oh, we're 1-0 up here, sort of subconsciously just dropping deeper. I think really, rather than us dropping deeper, it was Molde forcing us deeper. They picked up the performance in the second half. They went 2 or 3 gears up and they were first to every second ball. And really, the first half just woke them up, I feel. And they showed that they're a better team than us, and they really did force us back. But again, after we went 2-1 down, it's sort of a pity that we waited until we went 2-1 down to change the system. We were getting lots of balls into the box, and Molde looked really, really... They were on the ropes a little bit. You know, at that full-time whistle, when they won, they let out big cheers, and that was more a relief more than anything. So really happy with the performance in general. We showed that we can cause problems, and that if we do perform to our best ability, we do perform at this level, belong at this level rather. And you said there about Molde probably being the easiest game on paper. I would say there wouldn't be too much between them and Rapid Vienna. And the fact that it was at home, I actually don't think that matters as much now, because without the fans, weirdly enough, I think if Dundalk were going over to Molde, I think that's the second last game of the group, we're kind of going over with a bit of a siege mentality. I think away games are almost an advantage without fans.
Yeah, like you said there, I wish the way kind of annoying that we did waited until we went 2-1 behind. It was kind of like watching Ireland for the last few years. There's no we went a goal up, or we kind of settled for, especially you watch Ireland against the likes of the teams that are higher seeds than them in the group stages the last few years. Obviously, Kenny's trying to change that style of play now. But Ireland were kind of happy enough to sit back and hold out for a 0-0 draw, or maybe get one on the counter-attack. Whereas if we went behind, then we started playing good football, getting balls into the box, stuff like that. It's kind of like that with Dundalk. I just, like I said, Molde are a better side than us, and they definitely did pick up the gear second half. I just do think Dundalk kind of settled way too early in the second half. I know maybe it was hard considering the difference in quality of players if they did step up the gears, and it was still just a little bit annoying the way they dropped off so much so early in the second half.
And in fairness, Filippo, if you don't know about Dundalk, Filippo Giovagnoli, our manager, he admitted as much that he should have changed it sooner, because we actually went to a 3 at the back system, which I don't think we've done prior to that under Filippo. I don't think at any stage. So it's a bit strange to pull that out of the hat in such a big game, but it definitely seemed to change the game in our favour, and possibly something we might look to against Arsenal with that extra defensive stability. I'm not sure. Maybe not a good idea, because we're not that familiar with playing 3 at the back.
No. Might be something he wants to implement next season or something, but
long term.
Yeah.
So if you're not watching this from the Dundalk side of things, from a League of Ireland side of things, who would you say to, your average Premier League fan, your average Arsenal fan, who would you be telling them to look out for on the Dundalk side?
Well, Sean Murray, because he scored 3 of our 4 European goals this season.
Yeah.
A man who couldn't get a look in under Vinnie Perth. Was kind of unfortunate injuries in that respect, fair to him. But even when he was fish, Vinnie Perth seemed to kind of prefer playing Jordan Flores over him or McElhenney. He's really good from midfield. He's kind of a box-to-box midfielder. Probably the best passer in the team, I'd say. Very, very good at spraying the balls out left and right. Other than that, you'd probably have to say Michael Duffy. I don't think Michael Duffy has been overly impressive in Europe this season. Won League of Ireland Player of the Year in 2018. Was unlucky not to win it last year as well. Jack Byrne had a great season last year as well. But I think Michael Duffy scored 13, assisted 11 last season in the league. I think the season before that he got similar numbers. I think he got something like 20 assists, 13 goals. And then obviously Patrick Hooban, who's the club's joint top goal scorer of all time now, I think, with Jimmy Hasty.
I think, yeah, I think it's some strange stat. It's, yeah, he's up there anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's our top goal scorer. I think he's our top league goal scorer.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I think it is. Yeah.
And then other than that, defensively, in terms of we're going to look at places Arsenal could have a go at us defensively, we're no great shakes compared to what we used to be defensively. Defensively, we used to be nigh on impossible to get past. I know it was a few seasons ago we started the league with 9 clean sheets in a row. And even in Europe, we didn't really let teams score against us. Again, to be fair, we actually defended well for the most part the other night. Are probably our strongest defenders. I mean, Darragh Lee's been very impressive in Europe this season.
Agreed.
Daniel Cleary's been very good as well. But it's just, if Arsenal have the kind of, like even last game they played in Ketia and Bukayo Saka with that kind of pace that they can run at Dundalk's defence. If they get the space to run at Dundalk's defence, they'll have a field day.
Yeah, I think now I say if Dundalk are to get anything out of this game, look, we're not gonna try and fool you and blow smoke up Dundalk's arses, right? We're not gonna get a result here.
No.
They're just so much better than us. But if we are to have in any way a good performance, I think it's so crucial that Chris Shields has a good performance. Yes. He's our defensive midfielder, and I'd say he's probably very similar to Fabinho for Liverpool. If, for any Arsenal fans, he's that sort of player. He's very physical defensive midfielder who just sits and breaks up the play. So he's our Thomas Partey, but unlike costing 50 million euros and signed from Atletico Madrid, we signed him 8-9 years ago for free from Bray Wanderers. And he's actually been with us since 2012 when we finished bottom of our league and managed to stay up through a playoff. So he's absolutely crucial. If he plays well, Dundalk might put in a good performance. So in terms of lineup, it's a fairly steady team. It hasn't been recently if you look through the fixtures because we've just been rotating so much. But in terms of what our best team is, there wouldn't be too many spots up for selection. The fullbacks kind of choose themselves. Gary Rogers will be in goal. I would imagine Brian Gartland will play. He's a vastly experienced player for us. But who would you want to see beside Brian Gartland in that defence?
Probably Daniel Cleary. I know he hasn't really got the experience of Andy Boyle, but I haven't been impressed by Andy Boyle at all since he's come back. He's looked grand in the League of Ireland, but anytime he's come up against teams in Europe or even the good League of Ireland sides like Bows and Shamrock Rovers, he's not looked brilliant. Actually, to be honest, I want Sean Hoare in there, but Sean Hoare's not fit at the minute.
Yeah.
I think he's coming back into the squad now, but he's been injured for the last month or so.
From Klatsvik, yeah.
Yeah, so that's ideally who I'd play in there, but without Sean Hoare, I'd probably go Daniel Cleary, because Daniel Cleary's actually been very good this season, I thought. He hasn't really made any mistakes or anything. It's just defensively, I don't know, it's just the way we're set up. it's not really been down to individual mistakes or anything. It's just defensively as a whole unit, we just don't look as solid as we used to.
Yeah, Daniel Cleary, just a very, very talented player. He was on the books at Liverpool for quite a long time and was actually offered a new contract with them, but he decided to leave to get first team football. So he went to Birmingham, didn't really work out there, and he ended up here back in Ireland. And he's a very good player, very talented. So then Chris Shields is an absolute shoo-in, I would imagine. Yeah. Beside him will be Greg Sloggett, who in Premier League terms, I'd probably compare him to maybe a Scott McTominay, sort of a box-to-box midfielder, very powerful, very physical. Then ahead of him in the sort of, not even really, I suppose it's Shields sort of as a number 6, and then Sloggett and Murray ahead. Murray, very talented player, as Ronan touched on there. Played for Watford for quite a while and was very highly thought of by the likes of Gianfranco Zola and Sean Dyche at Watford. But between injuries and just inconsistency, he's ended up at Dundalk. Not always as a star player, but since Filippo Giovagnoli has taken over, he's been absolutely flying. Left wing, Michael Duffy, as we said, but easily our most exciting player, our most talented player. If in any game Dundalk are struggling to break down an opponent, we basically just pass it out to Michael Duffy and hope he can do something special because he's brilliant, so quick. Number 9 up front, no doubt about it, Patrick Cuban. He will look to bully David Luiz. Whether he'll be successful or not will be another thing, but very much sort of a target man. He hold the ball up wonderfully, very physical, so he could cause some problems. But then the right-hand side, it's really up for grabs. So who would you select there, Ronan?
I was kind of surprised he went for John Mountney last week. John Mountney's like Chris Shields. He's been in the Dundalk side since 2012. He always seems to get a look in Europe. And in fairness to him, he got the assist for the Sean Murray goal against Molde, and thought he played very well. Dundalk have brought in a Serbian from international...
Proliter Novi Sad.
Yeah, sorry, not international player, but he's from Serbia. Stefan Kolovic. In terms of on the ball, he's very tidy. Him and Duffy both kind of like to cut in. So he's left-footed playing on the right, Duffy's right-footed playing on the left. Both of them kind of like to cut in and cross with their stronger foot, or even try to curl shots into the far corner. I think Kolovic has only actually scored 1 goal for Dundalk so far from the spot.
Yeah.
Got 3 goals on his debut. He's got 3 assists in his first 3 games. He struggled for consistency, I think. I think both Billy Parth and Filippo Giovagnoli are trying to kind of figure out his best position, because I think he can play in the number 10 role as well. But the problem with that is Dundalk don't really play an out-and-out number 10. It's kind of like you were saying earlier, it's kind of like the way Liverpool play, a 4
advanced 8.
Yeah, then they have the 1 deep line midfielder and two sitting in front. Kolovic is a better footballer than John Mountney, but the way he played against Molde in playing John Mountney for about an hour or so, John Mountney's always going to give you 110%. He's going to give you a good shift, and then bring on Stefan Kolovic to have fresh legs, who are going to kind of have a go with tired defenders for the last half an hour. I'd probably go for the same. I'd probably start Mountney and then bring Kolovic on later on in the match.
Yeah, in terms of being a big game player and also in form, because I was actually checking out the WhoScored.com ratings. It's great to see Dundalk just having player ratings, done by stats and whatever. And he actually got man the match, not just for Dundalk. He got man the match in the whole game. He got a 7.6 with that assist. Brilliant cross for Sean Murray to get the goal. So yeah, really no doubt in my mind we have to go with the more defensive option, the most conservative option, because even in the playoff against Klaksvik, we started Stefan Kolovic because there's no doubt he's a more talented footballer, but he was not tracking back, and their left wing back was able to get forward quite a lot, and that was a problem. We brought on Daniel Kelly, who's kind of similar to John Mountney. He'd be more attacking. He's absolutely lightning quick, so if he comes off the bench, he could cause problems, but yeah, I'd definitely start John Mountney. So moving on to the last sort of section of this show, how should Dundalk approach the game? And I'm not even really talking tactically, because look, we're not Pep Guardiola here, but how do they approach it mentally? Do they go over with that sort of nothing to lose mentality, or do you think it would be better to sort of almost lie to yourself and say, we can match these?
I suppose it's kind of impossible not to get lost in the occasion, because I know even like the likes of Michael Duffy, there's a few lads in that Dundalk squad who are Arsenal fans who are just going to be completely blown away that they're playing Arsenal.
Is he an Arsenal fan?
Yeah, I think he said it after the Klaksvik match that he was an Arsenal fan and that's who he wanted to get drawn against.
Nice.
So, look, it's hard to sit here and say Dundalk players shouldn't really get lost in the occasion, but if they want to come out with a good performance, they really can't. Before they step onto the pitch, they can look around the Emirates and be like, look, I can't believe we're here. I can't believe this is actually happening to us. But once they step onto the pitch, they just have to treat it like, it's okay, a quick cliche, you just have to treat it like any other match. I know that's extremely hard when you're playing the likes of Aubameyang. I know he came on against Rapid Vienna, or even like David Luiz, players who played in World Cups and stuff like that.
You play with on FIFA.
Yeah, they just have to go out with the mentality of, we're just going to give this our all. If we get hammered, we get hammered. Look, they're a better side than us by a long shot. But if we just go out and try play our best, try play our game, look, we're going to have to play a little bit more defensively. But like, if we have any chance at all to play it around, play a few passes and try even get in behind and create a few chances. Like, if we came out of there 3 or 4-0 defeat, but people said, oh, maybe Arsenal didn't completely dominate, or like, even if we managed to get a goal or something, that'd
be unreal.
It'd be unbelievable. Because I know when Shamrock Rovers played Spurs a few years ago, it's nearly 10 years ago now. I know they lost 4-1 away to Spurs, but they went 1-0 up. So like, even something like that's an unbelievable memory.
It was absolute limbs. Unfortunately, the fans won't be there. Would have been some away day out in London. Unreal. The whole population of Dundalk would have been there.
Yeah.
I doubt many Arsenal fans would want to even go to a Thursday night game against Dundalk anyway.
The entire population of Dundalk could barely fill half the Emirates.
Yeah, they would fill about half of. Yeah. Well, Emirates is 60,000, right?
Yeah, so about 2/3.
Yeah. Is there any areas? It's very hard to predict who Arsenal will play, because on one hand, I'm thinking, they might start pretty strongly because it's probably in their interest to get 4 wins on the table and then just forget about the last 2 because you're qualified. But on the other side, they're playing in United on the Sunday. So it's kind of hard to predict who's going to be playing. But is there any specific areas in the Arsenal team that you feel Dundalk can actually target?
If I'm looking at the defence here last week, they played Kolasinac, Gabriel, David Luiz and Cedric. I'm not overly convinced by any of them. To be honest, Arsenal's defence, we touched upon it in the regular podcast anyway. Like, Arsenal's defence is never really their strong point. It's their attack. Like, if you look at their attack last week, Nketiah, Lacazette and Pepe, the 3 of those are going to cause us a lot of problems. Let's be realistic. Yeah. Good midfield of Saka, Thomas, Partey and El Neni. El Neni's a league wing. Not convinced by him. Look, if Dundalk can hit Arsenal to counter-attack and get into the final third, again, don't think we're going to win, but I don't see any reason why we can't snatch a goal.
It's 11 players against 11, isn't it?
I mean, especially when you've got the likes of Patrick Hoover up there. Physically, like, he's as strong. He's built like a Premier League player.
Yeah.
Football ability-wise, maybe not up there, but he's unbelievably strong. Like, anyone who's ever watched him in the League of Ireland, he just holds off.
People bounce off him.
Yeah, he bounce off him, and he's got an incredibly low centre of gravity as well.
Yeah.
So if we can get it up to him and then maybe put it out to Mountney and Duffy on the wings, we might be able to snatch a goal. Yeah. That's the only really weakness to see, though. They've got Bernd Leno in nets, though, is the only thing. So.
Yeah, speaking of Bernd Leno, I think that's one area we can weirdly sort of get at, because under Filippo, we're playing quite a high press at times. Now, on one side, if you play a high press against Arsenal and they manage to play through the press, we're done. Like, we're done.
Yeah,
they have so much quality, so much pace going forward with, it doesn't matter who they play. Pepe, Willian, Aubameyang, they can absolutely turn us. But if you look at the goal that they conceded against Rapid Vienna, Arsenal like to play out of defence, but they're not particularly good at it. Leno's distribution isn't really his strong point. Whoever it is, David Luiz, maybe he's all right. Kolasinac, not really. Rob Holden, Gabriel, they're not the best passers of a ball. They wouldn't be the most composed. So if Dundalk can get at them from sort of goal kicks, try and win the ball high up the pitch, that could give us some joy. But also, if they manage to play out, it could get ugly.
Yeah, we just be realistic about our chances in this match. But I don't think it's impossible that we'd get a goal or something. Like, I'd love to see that happen. Obviously, if we managed to get a result, it'd be unbelievable. I think it genuinely
best day of my life.
Genuinely think it would be the single biggest result in Irish football history.
Oh, absolutely. I think they're ranked 14th in Europe.
Yeah, so probably won't happen. But defensively, especially Kolasinac isn't exactly the quickest. So if we had the pace down, Who's playing on that side? It would be Kovacic or
maybe throw in Dickie Kelly.
Maybe throw in Dickie Kelly. I think Kolasinac is probably one we could probably get at if he starts.
Mm-hmm. And then physically, Pat Hubin up against David Luiz, if they do play him, could absolutely cause some problems. So I think if Dundalk are to have any joy in this match, we need to press high, specifically at goal kicks, but very quickly get back in shape. We need to really mark the space, because Arsenal, we can't get too close to them because they have so much pace in that team that I really think we need to sit back quite a lot and just let them have the ball. Look, they have the quality on the ball to pick us apart as well, but, what are you going to do? Either way, we're probably going to lose. So we just need to make sure that we really put them under pressure, maybe put them under pressure before the game. That's all the tactical preparation we need. And just get first to every single loose ball, every 50-50 ball, just get there first and just pass into space, counter-attack. That's the only way we're going to have any success, I think.
Yeah. We're going into this game, and I'd say most people in that dressing room are probably thinking the same, we're probably going to lose, but we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to come out here with a 7 or 8-0 loss. If we came out here with a 3 or 4-0 loss, I think most people would be like, fair enough, look, you gave a good account of yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, if Dundalk are to stand any chance of getting out of the group, which they probably don't, especially after blowing that 1-0 lead against Molde, the games we really need to be focusing on are Rapid Vienna and Molde, if we're getting any points out of the group. I think this one is actually just trying to make a good account of ourselves. I don't know, maybe Filippo might have one eye on Sunday's game against St. Pat's, because I think if we win that, we confirm third spot.
We do,
yeah. That little bit, that might be sitting in the back of the mind in terms of getting Europe next season. So
I don't want to sound too defeatist here saying, geez, it'll be all right if we lost 3-0, but at the same time, we need to be realistic. Yeah. There's no point in us coming in here being like, oh no, I definitely think Dundalk can get a result. It's also on the same level.
It's also on the off chance Dundalk do end up getting results against Rapid Vienna and Molde that, goal difference might end up coming into it. I don't know if Europa League's done goal difference or head to head, but if it was something that goal difference end up coming into play, you don't want to be going to the Emirates and getting hammered 8 or 9-0.
I'm very much not of this sort of defeatist mentality when it comes to maybe Molde and Rapid Vienna, even though they are much better than us. It's not, completely impossible that we could get a draw or even a win against them. But against Arsenal, it is like it is. But it's just going to be a great occasion.
We saw in the first half against Molde that they're very much a gettable side. And I don't think Rapid Vienna are, obviously, we're not going to lie to you and say we're experts on Norwegian and Austrian football. But you'd imagine they're around the same quality.
They're ranked around the same, yeah.
Yeah. So it is, like you said, don't want to be disappointed attitude of, I'd be happy with a 3-0 loss.
But you would.
You would, yeah.
Like that's the truth. That's why it's just so brilliant that this match is happening. They say in 50 years, look back, it's like, Jesus, remember that time we played Arsenal? Or even, future young League of Ireland fans being like, Jesus, when did Dundalk play Arsenal? That's mad.
It's like if you look back at this and let's say we lost like 7 or 8-0, people will want to think about it. Because Dundalk played Liverpool in the past. Dundalk played Liverpool in the past, and nobody ever talks about that match because I think that is Liverpool's 3rd biggest win in the competitive match ever.
Yeah, what was it? 9-0?
No, it was 11, man. I think
it was 11.
Something like that.
Yeah, back in the 70s.
I think it was 60s or something.
Yeah.
Like, nobody talks about that match, but people always talk about the other matches, like
against Celtic.
Against Celtic, we only lost 2-1 away from home. And we got a 0-0 draw at Royal Park. So, even there, we were a goal away from getting through to the quarterfinals. It's kind of that aspect as well. As you want to remember this match.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think there's any shame in, I wouldn't say celebrating. It's definitely not the word, but being content with a 2 or 3-0 loss. Absolutely, I think that's fine. We need to recognise the difference in quality. We're just at two different planets, that Arsenal and Dundalk. So I really don't think there's any shame in admitting that we're going to lose. It's fine. Like, it's grand. It's just great to be there. And again, it's just going to be a fantastic occasion. Can't wait to watch it. It's at 8:00 on Thursday evening on Virgin Media 2 and on BT Sport. I'm not sure which channel. So yeah, be brilliant. Please leave down your comments, any feelings you have in the match. Maybe you think there's areas we can get at Arsenal. Any Arsenal fans, if you have any questions about Dundalk, we'll be all too happy to respond to them. So thanks for listening to the show and enjoy the match on Thursday.